Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So this video I feel like it's long overdue. People have voted for this on the poll last night, so I thought I'll come up with this one first and then do the other ones that I already had planned. So there it is, PMDG 777 from San Francisco to Seattle. I want to keep it to the point so I won't waste any time. Let's just get into the cockpit and get out of here. We will be following the detailed checklist that this aircraft actually comes with, and I am guessing that most of you wouldn't know where this is, so I will leave a link or a photograph or something on the screen right now so that you guys can find this and follow along as well. But that's pretty much what you'll need to get this aircraft going. So yeah, let's just start. There's the cockpit. We are in a pretty much cold and dark state, so that's where we are going to start off from. Let's go through the first entering the cockpit procedure real quick. I will leave a screenshot of that on the side so that you guys can follow along what I'm doing, but basically I'm just going to be reading off of that and doing stuff. So battery switch can come on. C1 and C2 primary pump switches are off. Let's see which ones are those. Yeah, these are off. Demand pump selectors are all off. That is fine. Windshield wiper selector is off. Landing gear lever is down, so that looks good. Alternate flap selector, I think this one is right here, closed and guarded, looks good. Primary external and secondary external power switches can come on, and it will take a little bit for the screens to come on, so I'll skip that part of the video, but until then let's do the other stuff from the checklist. Parking brake can now come on, so we'll press the rudder pedals and then turn on the parking brake. Nav light switch is already on. Logo lights can turn on, but we don't need it, we're flying in the daytime. Alright, and then pack switches are off, and recirc fan switches are off as well. We can turn these off and connect the air conditioning unit, or we can just leave them on as is. Let's just follow the checklist, and I'm going to turn them off, and then I'll connect the air conditioning unit right here. There we go. So the air conditioning unit should have showed up now. There it is, all connected and providing air conditioning to our beloved passengers. Alright, let's get back in. Technical log, we'll assume that we have already checked that. We will turn the ADIRU switch to on, which will start aligning our inertial reference system. For emergency switches, we will turn them to armed and close the guard. We still need to wait for the displays to come on because they have not come on yet, so let's get on with the other items that we need. If this is the first flight of the day, then there are some other checks that we need to be performing as well. So we'll check the aircraft documents. I'm guessing it's registration and airworthiness certificate. Passenger addressing system, make sure that that is checked. Emergency equipment is checked. Overhead maintenance panel, we make sure that the guards are closed, and we also make sure that all the circuit breakers are in. Now for PMDG 777, the circuit breakers are not simulated, so they'll always be in, but just in the real world you would actually make sure that those are checked as well. Now the screens have come on, and we will see that there are a bunch of error messages showing up, obviously because we haven't started the airplane and nothing is running. So that's completely fine. Let's go down. The next phase of preparation is external inspection. Now in the PMDG 777, the brakes are actually simulated, so you can have tire wear, you can have brake wear and stuff like that. So you need to make sure that we have checked the brake pins, which I will show you where they are at. Should be on all the main landing gears right here on both sides. So before you go, you need to make sure that the brake pins are good and they are not flush with the brackets. If they are flush with the brackets, then that means that there's a lot of wear on the brakes and you might have to change the brake pads, is what I think you'll have to do. Anyway, you've checked that. There's nothing else to really check. I'm not sure what real-world pilots actually check apart from the brakes. So external inspection is done. Now the next step would be our universal flight tablet. So let me quickly file our SimBrief flight plan that we are going to follow. There it is. SimBrief flight plan is filed. So I can go to my tablet and basically request data from SimBrief. Make sure that I have the latest SFO weather, and our altimeter is 2983. So while we are here, I can already set this to 2983. There we go. Don't think we need to do anything else on the flight tablet, so we can move on to the FMC now. Let's get back to the main view and FMC view. Nice little trick, if you click on Boeing 777 here, it will pull up your FMC, it will pull up your flight tablet right here. So you can go through your OFP and kind of import stuff as you need, which is great. So let's click on FMC, pause in it. I would copy my current GPS position into the set inertial position thing, which makes everything go live. Now the aircraft knows where it's at. Let's put in our airport that we are departing from, which is KSFO, and our gate is A6. Now this position should match exactly with this one, which it does. Maybe a little bit of a difference, which is fine. Route request, you click on route request. SimBrief route is already loaded here. You will set the payload, you will set the fuel, clear, and then select route. That should request the route and load everything in, and the company route should pop up. Request is sent. And anytime now. There we go. Puff up. So all the uplinks are ready. Everything is good to go. So we'll hit load here. It's uploading. There we go. Should chime in as soon as it's done. Okay, there we go. It's updated. Activate, execute. The next thing we are gonna do is go to performance initialization, and we will copy our zero fuel weight here, and let's make sure that we are following the right cruising altitude. So our cruising altitude is actually 40,000, but here it's 390. So let's make sure that we correct that. I've usually seen okay, we might have to change our cruising altitude. I don't know why SimBrief gave us 400, but let's just go for 390, because based on these calculations it says that the aircraft cannot go beyond 396. So let's just stick to what the aircraft is telling us to do. Everything else should be good here. So after performance initialization, you would go to departure and arrival and set up our runways and SIDs and everything. So let's look at our flight plan here. We are departing from 01 left. We're following the Trunken 2 SID, and our transition is DED Delta Echo Delta Hotel Delta, and we'll execute that. For arrival, we are going to be doing ILS 16 right, Hawk Z7, and LMT transition, and we'll execute that. Now we go to the legs page, route data, wind data load. It will request for the wind data based on our waypoints and stuff, and then we can execute that. Next we'll go to VNAV. We'll skip a couple of pages, go to forecast here, in descent forecast, hit load. That will request the winds for our descent forecast so that it can predict the top of descent accurately. Alright, with all of that done, I think we can move to the the pre-flight overhead checklist. This is a long one, and if I fumble around this one, forgive me. So let's get back to our view. Let's go back to our overhead view. Oh, that wing view was pretty nice. What a beautiful looking aircraft. Love it. Anyway, getting back to our process. Thrust asymmetry comp is set to auto. Primary flight computer guard is closed. Battery switch is on. IFE passenger seats and cabin utilities is on. APU selector, we'll turn that on. IFE passenger seats power switch, both of those are already on. APU gen switch is on. Oh, sorry, this is the APU gen switch, so that is on. Bus tie switches are on auto. Generator control switches are on. Yes, they are. Backup drive disconnect switches guards are closed. Yes, they are. Generator control switches, backup generator switches are on. Camera light switch is off, and left wiper selector is off. Service int path is off. Passenger oxygen switch, we have the guards closed. Window heat switches can now come on. RAM air turbine switch is guard closed, that is fine. Engine primary pump switches are on. Engine primary pumps, electrical primary pump switches are off, which is how we want it. Demand pump selectors are all off. Yes, they are. Seatbelt selector can come on now since we have all the passengers loaded in already. No smoking selector is off. It should ideally be here, but on this particular airplane we just don't have any. Maybe it's just automatically setting everything. No electronics selector should also be somewhere here, but I don't see it, at least on this livery. Anyway, after that, all of this is just cockpit lighting stuff, which I think is fine. Landing light switches, we have all of them set to off, and I think that's APU fire switch, not re-switch. So we'll check that real quick. Red light shows up, alarm is good. Cargo fire arm switches are off. Cargo fire discharge switch is guard closed. EEC mode switches are normal, and start selector switches are normal as well. Auto start switch is on. Fuel jettison arm switch is off. Yes, it is off. Forward and aft cross feed, fuel to remain selector, this is not popped out, that is good. Where am I lost myself on the checklist. Fuel jettison arm switch is off. Okay, nozzle switches are off and guarded. Fuel pump forward and aft cross feed switches are off. Fuel pump switches are off as well right now, that is fine. Wing anti-ice selector is set to auto. Forgive me, this is a long checklist, but I want to make sure that I follow all of this. So you go from top down, top down, top down, and top down. That's how you do it. So I'm gonna just hang in there. Get your coffee out, hang in there, get some popcorn. You'll get there. Alright, nav switches are on, beacon light switch is off for now. Engine anti-ice, I already checked, that's on auto, so that is good. Logo and wing lights, we don't require that. IND lights test, I'm gonna test that real quick. All the lights are coming on, none of those are out, so looks good. Runway turn off switches are off, strobe light switches are off. Equipment cooling switch is, I'm gonna leave that to auto. I think I remember getting into issues when I turned this to off, but let's leave that to auto. Gasper switch is on. Recirc fans, if external AC unit is being used, then they need to be off, which is what we are doing, so that'll be off. Flight deck temperature control is in mid position. Cabin temperature control is also in mid position right here. Back switches, if external AC unit is being used, then off. I'm gonna just leave them to auto because the bottom light shows that it's already in the off position right now. Trim air switches are on. Bleed air isolation switches are set to auto, so that is good. Engine bleed switches is on. I think that's it, right? Yeah, that's the engine bleed switch. APU bleed switch is auto, so whenever the APU turns on, we will be getting the air from the APU. Landing altitude selector, where's that at? Landing altitude selector, I don't see that one. Oh yeah, this one. Is it this one? It is in, yes. That's out and that's in, so yes, it is in. Right wiper selector is off. Alright, so that takes us through the whole overhead panel. Now we will do the pre-flight instrument panel. So let's go back to our view here and let's put the flight tablet back in its position. I'm gonna turn the storm light on because you know, I have some light going on here. Let's reduce the range. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so one thing we definitely need to do is turn on both the flight director switches. I'm just going through all of them because this is going through like all of these buttons and stuff, but we don't need to follow each and everything here. Heading track, all of this is as required. Altitude selector as required. Initial alt, so let's see what our initial altitude is. Click here real quick. I mean, I can literally just put in, since we are not flying online, I can pretty much put this to our cruising altitude, which is 390, and our heading selector can go to the runway heading, which is 010. I think 010 is fine. It's not parallel because the runway heading might be different. Let's make it parallel to the runway line. There you go, 013. That should be good enough. Auto brake selector is on off. We will turn that to RTO later. Test the oxygen on the co-pilot side and on the pilot side. Looks good. Alright, so the next one is pre-flight console. Speed brake lever is down. Alternate pitch trim lever, they are neutral. Reverse thrust levers are locked. I made this mistake. I forgot to check the reverse thrust and it kept on automatically deploying my speed brakes, and I was completely confused at why that was happening. So follow the checklist, guys. It's there for a reason. Parking brake is on, not to worry about that. Stab cutout switches are good. I think they're on that side. They should be good. Stab cutout switches. Fuel control switches are cut off. Yes, they are. Alternate flaps arm switch is off. That's on that side. Left radio panel, yeah, we can just set it to 1 to 2.8 for today since there's no ATC. Captain's audio control panel, that's all good. Weather radar stuff, we'll set it later. ATC today, I'm just gonna set it to 2200 for today. Aileron trim, rudder trim, all of that should be in mid position, but you make sure that you check all of that. Floodlights as required. Engine fire switches are both in. That's the stab switch, by the way. Pre-flight checklist, so let's accomplish the pre-flight checklist. There you go. Oxygen is checked, flight instruments are all done, normal. So now we'll go to before start. So let's hit continue here. Continue. CDU performance data is our next thing to do. Okay, so let's move this here and let's pull up the performance tool. We're going one left, so I'll select that, and then I'm gonna select this from aircraft, import weather, and then calculate. So let's go back to our takeoff performance data here. takeoff performance inputs here. So you're going to do flaps 5, which is good. You're going to do a temperature. Wait, are we doing this? Yeah, let's do a derated takeoff. So select temperature will be 45, so that will be entered here. Then we go to takeoff, and CG will just pop up on its own. Let's put in the wind for today, which our flight tab is right here. I forgot about that. Our wind is 060 at 3 knots, so not a lot of wind, but we'll still put it in because it might change the V speeds just by a tad bit, which it did. So that's good. What else? Go back, performance tool. So V1 is I'm not sure why this is. I see why. Maybe we are doing a derated takeoff and this thing couldn't calculate it right. I don't know. Anyway, we are going to enter it from the electronic flight back. So that's 143 right here, and then there's V rotate is 147, and then V2 is 154 here. Okay, we'll set this to V2. Hang in there, guys, we are going to get to the fun part. Just hang in there. This has to be a full detailed video. I'm just following the process. Let's make sure that we have everything here. Calculate, all of this is good. Yep, initial heading, altitude. Yep, alright. So I can put the tablet back here, and I can turn on LNAV and VNAV. Heading and track selector is good. Altitude is already set to our cruising altitude. Ideally you would set it to the initial altitude that you are ending your SID at, but for today it's fine. We're just setting it to our final cruising altitude. So all of the takeoff performance calculation is complete, nice, quick and easy. Now we're going to go through the before start checklist. So for that we're going to go to our overhead panel. Right electrical demand pump selector will turn to auto, and then when right elect demand pump fault light goes off, which it did, electrical primary pump switch will come on. Left electrical demand pump selector to auto. That light is off, and then you would turn the air demand pump selectors to auto as well, and both of those fault lights should come off as well. I don't know why they didn't, but that's fine. No electronic selector to on, that should be here. We don't have that. Seat belts are on. Left and right fuel pump switches will come on now. There we go. All of them comes on just fine. There is no fuel in center tank today because we are going light. It's not that long of a flight. Beacon light can come on, and I think that's it for the overhead. Yeah, we are already on TARA, so that is fine. Okay, before start checklist. Okay, let's go through that one real quick. Flight deck doors closed and armed. Let's make sure that all our doors are closed and armed. Yes, they are. All of them are green, closed and armed. So that can be ticked. MCP V2 heading track, we did all of that. Takeoff speeds are good. CDU pre-flight is done. Trim is set. Taxi and takeoff briefings. We are taking off from 01 left. So let's go outside real quick. So we'll be taxiing from somewhere here and then going this direction, and then that's where our runway will be. Right. Man, that looks so good. Look at that. Admire it. Anyway, let's continue. That's the before taxi, so I think we can turn the engines on and start pushing back. Clearance and pushback. So let's start with this checklist here. APU start. Let's start the APU. So for starting the APU, you would just turn this knob to start and then it goes back to on. So it'll take a little bit to start the APU, but it's going to come on any moment. Now at this point you should have gotten the ATC clearance, so that is good. FMC adjust and confirm, fine. MCP adjust and confirm, all good. Fuel on board, check quantity, yes, we have enough fuel, we should. Programs page 1 to 4, yeah, this will all show you how much fuel we have and all of that. I think we are good there, we don't need to check that again. Pack switches can go to auto now, but that should be, I think, after the APU provides some air. So as soon as it says APU running, there we go, APU is running. So now pack switches are on auto, which is fine, and there we go, you hear the packs come on because it started getting air from the APU. And then we can also turn on the recirc fans. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys. Anyway, ground connections, so let's see, ground connections can all be released. Release the ground power, release the air conditioning unit, and release the chokes. Ground service vehicles, let's make sure that we are releasing all of them as well. Looks good. Door management, everything is closed and armed. Captain's flight deck window is closed and armed, and first officer's flight deck window is closed and armed as well. Exterior doors are closed and armed. At this point we should be requesting for pushback clearance. Our parking brakes are set, and let's go ahead with the GSX pushback. Meanwhile, I'm gonna pull up the engine start checklist. So parking brakes are set. MDF secondary engine display show. Okay, we'll do that. Where is it? This one, right? Yeah, that's the one, I think. Alright, so that's good. When ready to start the engine, we will shift the start selector position for each engine to start, and then give it fuel as soon as it has enough. What is this? N1. We're gonna do GSX pushback, so let's do that here. Where is it? Prepare for pushback and departure. Just give me the pushback, guys. Interrupt pushback. No. Is it attaching the pin, doing something at least? Yeah, there's the woman.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Hello. I'm ready as well. Walk right in. Beautiful. I love it. This is so satisfying. Oh my god. Absolutely love this.
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
Alright. They're gonna come in here. Getting served by Frontier. That's embarrassing.
Locking gear.
We're gonna do a custom pushback so that they point us in this direction here. Releasing parking brake. Commencing.
Start at will.
Alright, we can start the engines now. Let's start the second one first. Oh well, the right one first. Oh my god. I'm not gonna talk, you guys just listen to the sound. Give it fuel. right engine should be good. Let's start the left engine.
Please set parking brakes.
That is beautiful, man. That is so good. Alright, let's set parking brakes so that we can let these guys go.
Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
This is beautiful. I think we can give them a confirmation that we do have good engine start.
Cockpit to
Confirm.
ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Unlocking gear. Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear. Right is clear.
Right, they're both out of the way. Let's set our flaps lever to flaps 5 because that's what we have selected for our takeoff. And APU selector can now go to off. Oh, my bad. In admiring all of this, I completely forgot to give fuel to the left engine. Completely my bad. I realized when I checked that the generators were not coming on. I think we should be fine. It's gonna start in just a bit and then we'll have, there we go. We have a good start now on, okay, I think we are good. We got a good start on engine 1 as well. The start switches are now on norm. Now we can turn the APU selector to off. Flap levers are already good. We don't need anti-ice today, engine anti-ice, it's decent enough. Temperatures, flight controls, we can check it now. Let's bring up the flight controls page from here. There we go. Left aileron, right aileron, left and right elevators are good as well. And there's the rudder. So flight control check is complete. We're gonna bring the checklist page again, and before taxi checklist is the next thing we need to do. Alright, so let's go through that real quick. Anti-ice is selected as we don't need it. Recall is fine. Auto brakes need to be set to RTO. That's good. Flight controls are checked and ground equipment is all clear. Before takeoff, flaps are already set. Now we don't need to do any checklist until we hit the after takeoff. Alright, so taxi clearance is requested. We'll assume that we have it. Runway turn off light switches, we don't need it. Taxi lights can come on. When crossing the runway and all, we'll turn the landing lights. We won't be crossing, we can straight up go to the runway and then set everything else up when we are on the holding point. Alright, so we are ready to go here. Let's turn the parking brake off. And I'm gonna save my video and come back in the next clip real quick.